Okay, folks, I think I will call this little event to order. Please take your seats. Just make sure that we don't feedback coming in every different direction. Welcome to the Emerging Media Lab Spring 2024 Showcase. Okay. Props to Nikos from the law school for starting the applause. My name is Catherine Grutzinger, and I am absolutely thrilled to be here from the School of Journalism, Writing, and Media. This little community of souls that works in and out of the Emerging Media Lab has been one of the most generative, innovative, inclusive, kind, respectful, wonderful communities that I've had the privilege of working with at this university. And I am so honored to be able to welcome our Associate Dean sitting toward the back of the room, my friend Stefania Burke, sitting back there here. We have Jennifer here from the IT crew. We have people from all over the campus. We have the provost sitting here, really wearing the team uniform for the Emerging Media Lab. I'm just gonna say it. So good to see all of you here with us this afternoon. We're going to have a panel conversation in a couple of minutes talking about some of the big projects that are underway. The provost is going to make some opening remarks in a moment. And then the highlight of the afternoon, we hope, is going to be the time that you'll spend with our students, really thinking about the work that they've done across this campus to utilize the skills and possibilities made available by the Emerging Media Lab. But I'd be remiss if I didn't begin where we like to begin here at the University of British Columbia, with an acknowledgement of the land upon which we gather. This is the traditional and unceded and ancestral territory of the Musqueam people. UBC has had a long relationship with the Musqueam, and this has been a gathering place for Coast Salish peoples for millennia. So we sometimes walk on the campus, or we'll acknowledge on the campus, or we'll stop to look at the artworks. But I really would encourage all of you, as an act of reconciliation, when you're on the campus and off, to think about the requirements of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission that actually put the onus on all of us to do better. So if we can all just take a pause for a second, think about what we could do a little bit differently to show up in a more meaningful way for our Indigenous colleagues, our First Nations colleagues, and our Inuit colleagues across the country, and the Métis people as well. Thank you. It's a pleasure now to welcome the Provost of the University of British Columbia, Gage Averill.
Thank you, Catherine. Well, first of all, I really liked that enthusiasm that with the applause that went on. This is a lively crowd. Very, very grateful to be here. And I wish that I was intentional about wearing, about wearing the garments of the center, but this was accidental. I was biking in today. I've been running ever since I got in, so you have me in my biking gear. But yeah, that looks great, and I think there's I'm getting a T-shirt for showing up today. So this is a good day for me. I don't spend much time in the Emerging Media Lab, but I talk about it a lot, right? If you want to be bored by university administrators, ask them about the innovation agenda, or politicians as well. Everyone wants to be innovative. What does that mean? We don't know. But universities want to be innovative. They want to be transformative. They want to deal with emerging issues. This is our lab, right? This is our play space for this kind of work. And we have this extraordinary resource here. And I'm looking around the room, many people. I'm really glad you're here. I know people from CTLT, we have our university librarian here, in addition to the folks that Catherine mentioned earlier. It's a great group. But this is a resource for us in my thinking, to play with the future. If we know that a couple things about education 10, 20 years from now, we know that we're going to be making a lot more use of immersive technologies, right? They can, if you want to dissect a pig, well, it's kind of, we have to run through a lot of pigs, and that's kind of rough on the pig population. We can do a lot of that in situ, at distance. We can experience the woods. We can experience, walk our way through laboratory situations. It is, this technology is bringing tools to people all over the world. We can also do that at distance to do operations, for example, right? We know that we have, in the last year and a half, experienced an acceleration of artificial intelligence, large language module learning, and through generative AI, that in a way that it will be changing every aspect of our operations, not just our education, our teaching and learning, which it will significantly affect, but also university operations, the way in which a university engages with its constituencies. These are things that we are working with in this lab. We're doing it in the most experimental way. So it is great to have this facility. It's a leading-edge experimental, innovative hub. We've got faculty, students, staff from all disciplines across this campus working together on new technologies to enhance what we do here, primarily teaching and learning. I wanted to, you can experiment with all the R's, the XR, AR, VR, the ways in which we can play with reality and immerse ourselves. I hear consistently accolades from across the campus from faculty and students who get to use this facility. We've had over 50 projects that have run through this mill involving 40 faculty members and countless numbers of students. And it's a place where, another thing we love to talk about is experiential learning, right? This is a place where students can collaborate with faculty. They can run experiments that anticipate the kind of work they're going to do in the real world. They'll do it with did I just say that? I banned that phrase from, I did say that, the real world. Oh my God. This is the real world. You can shake your head at me, you can wag your finger. I don't make that distinction. I don't call this an ivory tower because we are all doing this. We are working with community and with industry partners, and our students are immersed in those relationships, and they can see themselves in careers in the future working in the community. So I really am extraordinarily proud of the work and eager to talk about it with the world. We're going to have a couple things just to run through what's on our program today. We're going to sketch out what we'll do, but we're going to be hearing from a panel on interdisciplinary project-based learning with emerging tech and EML's role. And that's moderated by our amazing Catherine Gretzinger. And then we are going to have some presentations from students, first on the judicial interrogatory simulator. Boy, I butchered both those words. But that is a difficult phrase, the judicial interrogatory simulator. Yeah, the moot court. Which is a web-based simulated courtroom, moot court, built for first-year law students. We have a presentation on nurse practitioner VR tool, an interactive experience for student nurse practitioners to practice communication and clinical decision-making skills in an immersive environment. And lastly, I just want to say that that I'd like to acknowledge the pivotal role that the partners, our community and industrial partners are playing and shaping this experience with students. Also, I'd like to acknowledge our CIO, Jennifer Burns, whom I work closely with in her role and leadership in this space. I would like to congratulate the entire Emerging Media Lab team on creating this sort of prototyping experience, right? That deeply experiential experience for our students and faculty. It's an amazing thing to see emerge. Finally, all of the partners, all of the people who work with the EML across the campus, our IT departments, we are all collaborating together to keep pace with this landscape. So looking forward to seeing how post-secondary higher ed changes in the years ahead. This will be a very, very key component in those changes. Looking forward to the panel. I'm not going to say anything else. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much, Gage. They hold those T-shirts for ransom. So you should be so lucky that you're going to walk out of here. It took me how many years? I'm finally getting a T-shirt today. So this is great. I want to encourage you to keep your phones on, which I know is a bit counterintuitive. Just turn the sound off, please. You're welcome to take pictures of these amazing panelists because they would sure appreciate having their picture taken and shared with our school community. I see you, Ash. I know you want more attention for this work, so let's get it for you. So please feel welcome to take pictures. We are broadcasting some of this, so I do want to acknowledge for those of you who are watching us from afar, please take a moment to sort of think about where you are too and how you're situated and how you're interacting with other people. I, too, want to acknowledge the staff at the EML. These people are incredible, and I'm going to just name three, and I would encourage you to go and find them. So Marianne is sitting over there. And Saeed is literally holding up the wall right there. And Anne, who looks after a whole lot of things that are invisible to most of us, but absolutely necessary, is right there. So thank you all so much. And I'm sure Saeed's name is going to come up in the course of the conversation we're about to have with our panelists. So it is my pleasure now to welcome our panel forward. Patrick Pennefather from the Emerging Media Lab and Theatre and Film, just an overall genius. He is here. He's going to take the stage. Lindsay Rogers from Biochem and the Faculty of Science and Medicine is here, also a participant with the EML. And I haven't seen Lindsay yet, so I'm hoping that she's in the room. And she's not. Would anyone like to come and participate? No, just kidding. We've got a whole bunch of other panelists. Derek Carter is here from Sawmill, an industry representative here to spend some time with us today to talk a little bit about the intersection between the academic world and the industry. So please welcome to the stage. Thank you, Derek. Nikos Harris from the law school is here. Now, this is a guy who really is not about technology, not even a little bit, and has somehow found his way to the EML and has created a very generative, important intersection for students and for faculty and for the staff at the EML. Come on up, Nikos. Ash Scott. Ash Scott is with the Faculty of Applied Sciences, representing the nursing school. The project that these folks are working on right now is astonishing. And Ash is a little nervous about this, but we're all good, right? We got a deal. Please come up to the stage. Okay. And then finally, a fourth-year student from Patrick's Cognitive Systems program, Han Jun. Thank you for saying yes to us. Okay. So I think I'll stand here just so I can see you all a little bit better. And I was going to start with Patrick because he really is the top of the mountain when it comes to emerging technologies at the university. He's really led so many of us through our fears and our worries and our frustrations, but I'm not going to let him speak first. So I'm going to turn instead to Nikos, because this was a reluctant participant at first. So Nikos, a little bit about you and a little bit about what brought you to the EML.
Well, thanks so much, and it's such a pleasure to be here. I usually don't need a mic in the law school. There was some person in my class with a hearing aid, and he took it out for my classes. But I think the first thing, as was mentioned, if the law school saw me here, they would say, get him out of there. If this is to do with technology. I have been known as a very old school professor. I had the full chalkboard going, and then we got a new building. Thank you, Provost. And now I use the whiteboard. And it was a bias I had. I had done some research into computers in the classroom, and I was convinced that technology would really put itself first, and we had to change our learning to meet technology, and it was technologies for technology's sake. And I just thought it probably would have a negative influence in learning. And through talking with John Fessinger, who's one of our most popular professors and is really into technology, I thought maybe there's something there. All the things the provost talked about are so true about it being interdisciplinary, about it being innovative, about it being experiential learning. But what was so important for me and transformative for me was how EML did it. Again, I came in skeptical, and we started having these meetings. The first few meetings, they didn't say much other than ask questions. They wanted to understand what our objectives were. They wanted to understand about the law school. They wanted to understand about courtrooms. They came to the law school to tour through where we set up our courts. We had long conversations about access to justice. We had long conversations about students petrified appearing in their first year mandatory moot. And that was the beginning of the journey for me. This is not technology for the sake of technology. This is technology to meet our objectives. And that stayed consistent all the way down the line. As we were developing something, and I've never felt like a CEO, and I'll never feel like one again. We would meet and we would say, well, these are our objectives. And 2 weeks later, I would be presented by the students and staff their amazing accomplishments. And I'd say, hey, make the judge's eyes open a little bit more. And we'll get right on that. So I've never had that in my life. But what was amazing was how intuitive the technology being developed by the staffs and students was, because they understood our objective. And because that technology was developing in a way that it was going to be so incredibly useful, we became confident this can be an incredibly important learning tool for the students, and UBC always puts a priority on impact in the community. And so it was that experience that led me to believe it's not about the technology, it's about understanding your learning objective and using EML to get there. And we do a lot of experiential stuff in the law school. I don't think I've seen it ever better been done than it is at EML, and that's a credit to the management from Saeed on down. They were very careful with the students to give them direction, but get the students doing the actual work to make sure that they had the benefit of that. And the students were incredible. And by the way, we run these models at the law school. It's very cost effective to have the students doing the work who are getting course credit. Some of them are volunteers and producing an amazing product. And the last thing I'll say is we have had the benefit of EML for a number of years. We're incredibly scared that we eventually have to move on, so we brought this to some other public interest organizations. They are blown away with what EML has created. Not on a student basis, on a pure technology basis, and that's a credit to Saeed, the management, and the students at EML.
Great. Thank you, Nikos. That's a great way to get us started. I'm going to come to you next, Han. When I called and spoke to Han right away, she's, what shall I talk about? And I said, well, what do you think? And she started talking, and I was mesmerized. Yeah. So let's talk about translating knowledge. First, let's talk about your own curiosity about using emerging technologies.
Yeah, 100%. So, hi everyone, I am Han, and I'm a student currently enrolled in Patrick's course, Media 470. If there's any other fellow students, please go take that course, it's amazing. Yeah, so in terms of how I stumbled upon emerging media, I'm from cognitive systems, for those that don't know. It's a major in UBC that studies artificial intelligence, mostly about the theory behind artificial intelligence and how it came to be about. But I think my starting point came from wanting to integrate health, which is something I'm very interested in, with something that I'm also very interested in, which happens to be in AI. And yeah, I guess that's how I led to Patrick's course. And as you can see, Patrick has a lot of health-oriented projects, and after reading through that, it made me really want to join him on his journey, and this is where I am now.
And we're going to learn about a project that you have been participating in, where you're actually trying to figure out what children need in a playground. Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about using the ideas of children to try to knit your thinking around what could be possible with emerging tech?
Yeah, 100%. So I come from, I guess, a more research-focused academic background. I think a lot of students can relate, where we start off in the lab as a research assistant and then slowly working our way, hoping to be more involved in the writing of the projects or to be more involved in maybe developing tools or developing a paper that we can maybe publish for graduate school. And I'm working currently with UBC's School of Public Health with an amazing PhD student called Emily Gimmel. Her research is oriented around children and how you can make your neighborhoods more playable for kids. Because as we know, physical activity is extremely important to any child's development. And I think during my research time with Emily, I thought, you know, how the things that we found in research is so important, but I think a frustrating part about research is that it takes a long time to even get implemented in the first place. It can take, for example, as soon as the research is published, it takes 5 to 10 years before anything can be done. And I think that's what EML does really great, which is to transform current research into projects right now that are useful, projects that we can use current knowledge to make an impact in the community. So the project I kind of thought of is called Playborhood. It's a play on words, play and neighborhood. Essentially, children get to take photos of their neighborhoods and they can use online software. We're still figuring out which ones. But before they use Minecraft to basically make the environments into their own, where they can make their neighborhood into a place where they would want to play at. Maybe they already like to play at their environment, but what better thing to do to make it even more playable? Yeah.
That's great. So we'll find out a little bit more about this. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, Ash, I'm going to come to you next. Let's talk a little bit about the intersection between the nursing school and the EML.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Ash Scott. I'm an associate professor of teaching in the School of Nursing. And so I'm, unlike Nikos, I'm a big fan of technology, but I really appreciate that not technology for technology's sake, but finding a real place where we can enhance what we're doing using technology. And I'm new to UBC, and I spent my first few weeks wandering around the campus trying to, I say new, it's just over a year, still very new to me. Wandering around campus, exploring, checking out different facilities, and I came across the Emerging Media Lab down in the basement in this building. And throughout my career, both my nursing career and my academic career, there are these times where, you know, sometimes you just think, oh, I've had an idea. And previously, those ideas haven't gone anywhere. I have the idea, and I think, oh, that would be really cool. I can't wait to see when somebody develops that. Yeah? So this time, I had the idea, and then there was a space for me to go to and say, I've had this idea. Now, I like technology, but I'm not an expert in technology. So I brought the idea to the lab, and they were like, yeah, that actually sounds like a good idea. It sounds like something valuable, and it sounds like something we could develop. And like Nikos, again, every couple of weeks when I come to my principal investigator meetings, I say to the students, like, well, they show me what we've done, and I'm blown away. And then I can say, oh, now you've shown me that, I've just had another idea, and I don't know if this is possible. And they say to me, oh, we'll try. And then 2 weeks later, they come back and they've done it. So I can't remember the question. But that was my answer.
You covered it.
The answer's important.
Big ideas and bringing them to life at the
Yes,
EML.
bringing them to life, absolutely.
Yeah. Excellent. So I'm going to go to Derek now, because part of this equation is thinking about teaching and learning, bringing in students, bringing in people with ideas, working with staff and faculty in the lab, but then also making things real and going into community. And Derek comes with a community voice, an industry voice for us. So how did you first intersect with the EML? What sort of tweaked your interest, and where are you at with it now?
This man is responsible. When he was at Center for Digital Media, he would bring his students, and they were looking for...
So I've been doing this all day.
Oh, okay. They were looking for someone to execute the students' ideas. Their master's levels team of students with different skill sets. My area is motion capture. We develop industry tools. So a lot of the pre-visualization and a lot of the software that the studios use, whether it's in film or animation or any kind of immersive media interface, we usually have something to do with that. So I have partners scattered all over, and when Patrick, I think originally the idea was to a basketball simulation. So I think we were...
That was a while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. So that's how we started, and I basically have, he asks and I follow. Because every time we do something, not only am I interested in what the students are, it's kind of interesting to see a light bulb kind of go on in people's heads. A lot of times you're just given a group of students, you don't know where they come from, you don't know what their backgrounds are, and you don't know the reason why they're enrolled in that class. And so you give them a project, which I guess they kind of agreed on paper to do, and they start executing it. And in that journey of trying to develop something, they kind of discover something about themselves. What they don't want to do usually comes up. And you can usually see them tweaked onto something that's interesting. And so I have to spend time with them individually and ask what's their motivation, or what are you doing, et cetera, to find out a little bit more, because I have a teaching background, but it's been a long time. So I'm always interested in trying to encourage the students to go further, because I know this is just a starting period. So they actually help develop projects that we use in industry, and I'm hopeful in thinking that they have an insight into either pursuing something further, or I've opened their eyes to another area that they never saw before. Did I answer that?
You sure did. Great. Thank you very much. Fitting that we come to you now, Patrick, because one thing Patrick talks about a lot as he's working with technologies and imagining things, that this is really about people and bringing people and their big ideas together. So as you sit and listen to your colleagues up in front of this room full of curious people, what's going through your mind?
The first thing is I want to say hi to everyone in the other room. That's the first thing going on in my mind. So hi, everyone in the other room. I know you're there. I can't see you, but they're over there. And those are all the amazing students who've been working on projects with EML, whether it's in the MDIA 470 course or directly with EML. Derek has hired our students. That's the one thing that he did not say. And I do want to amplify that, because that relationship that we have built over a period of 6-7 years is an important one to also tell, and that is about people. And it's not so much seeing the like separating the outside world with our real world here, Gage, but it's but it is about bridging people, because, you know, to misquote, who was it that said Soylent Green is people? Industry is people. So I wanted just to say that, because it is about making those personal connections, and that is really what the people part is. And it's not just connecting with people, it's interconnecting people who have similar passions. I can already think of that already with us four, and I already have ideas, and there's people in the room, and I'm already, okay, when we're done, that's what's on my mind. When we're done, I need you to meet Dennis. I need you to meet Manu. So that's how where I go, because for me, it's about building our potentials and supporting that, and that extends to our students, right? And when we present difficult problems to solve with technology, then that's where we really build up the capacities of students, and they can all attest to that if you speak to them. It's not easy. I don't have all the answers, but I allow enough flexibility in the relationship in which problem solving through technology is facilitated for them to manage those problems, to give enough breathing room, to not really regulate all the time, to pull back and allow some of those competencies for them to develop, because I know individuals like Derek and other colleagues are seeking specific competencies from students. And many of us are doing that. I'm not the only one doing that in terms of a project-based course. We're building competencies like critical thinking, most people in this room, collaboration, creativity, what else? Problem solving, self-regulation. What I love about project-based learning is, for me, it's like an infinite. I'm trying to think of a visual metaphor. You know, it's like the iceberg, right? Depending on how deep we go with project-based learning, the tip of the iceberg is if we do small projects within a course, and then it goes deeper in the water in terms of developing how do you collaborate under pressure when you have an external client or client as faculty. What happens? What happens to that collaboration? What happens to you engaged in communication with other students? What happens to your criticality? Does that get tossed out the window? Do you keep it persistently? So all these aspects of those competencies also relate to that, to my answer, right? We're building capacity in people to interact with other people and trying to, as much as we can, bridge what we do in these somewhat siloed, beautiful environments here at UBC, to bridge them to the unexpected that occurs once they are outside of these bubbles that we create. And so the more we can interconnect our bubbles to Sama Motion Capture Studio, or with Suki, who is another partner who's, and by the way, Suki, the students will present a bit more about Suki later, but during the project, she is a generative AI filmmaker, and during our project was hired by OpenAI. And suddenly, it changed everything, right? It changed the amount of time that she could give. It also told the story to the students, how interconnected she was with the industry that they might want to be a part of. And so building that relationship is huge. And I'll stop there.
Right. And these relationships are continuing to grow across the campus. So that's something that UBC has, as many of you know, set a priority of pushing the learning, teaching all of our pedagogies toward a more interdisciplinary experiential approach.
Can I just comment on the bubble? I just think it's so apt.
In a minute. Just let me, it's nice to push lawyers around once in a while. This is really fun to do.
The journalists always win.
I know. I just want to say that as we are reaching and seeking and thinking about ways to intersect and grow, we need to keep in mind that last year we had 270 applications for only 11 positions for students to do projects at the EML. This year we had 264 applications for 9 positions. So if we're serious about breaking out of silos and growing and reaching and making this more robust, then we actually need to really think about what that means to have a limited supply and how do we scale this. Okay, Nico.
No, and it's got to be expanded. This is one of the most cost-effective, useful programs. But just on the comment of the bubble, we struggle with it at the law school. We want to protect student wellness, but we have to expose them to some of the realities of practice. We have to expose them. How do we do that in a way that protects wellness? This is where virtual reality has an incredible potential, right? Exposure therapy. You're going to be in a courtroom. You're going to deal with difficult facts. What's a safe space to practice some of those things in virtual reality? And that's what EML has allowed us to do, is to create a space. We're not going to protect students from these realities. They are in the real world. They're going to be going to the real world. We need them to get a chance to practice that in a safe environment. And what's incredible about the project we've created with Moot Court, of course, we want our students to learn this in a safe space and be exposed to it. And by the way, the research incredibly supports exposure therapy if it's done in the right way. But we also have hundreds of thousands of Canadians who are going to a courtroom representing themselves for the first time, and they need some help. And that's what the EML project has always been partly about. And with the AI work, we think we're on the cusp of a technology that will help people who need access to justice and are representing themselves.
Really. I'd love each of you to sort of make note of something that you want people to be thinking about. I don't want to squeeze the students. I see them gathering at the back of the room. So I want to make sure that they have their full time. So if you could leave people with a note about the importance of your work with the EML, what would that note be? What would you want people to think about?
Yeah, I think from a student's perspective, and I can only speak on behalf of myself because it would be my relationship with EML that I can highlight. It would be I think of EML similar to like the bubble analogy that you're saying as like a hub between students learning about theory. From what I understand, UBC is a very research-based school, and we spend a lot of time pondering about the theoreticals, and I think EML is a great way to not only expose students, like you said, to real world practices, but to also give students a way to have that first project that they're working on, that first push into industry, or first big push into like a passion project that they're not able to have done before. And I think like hearing what other fellow panelists have said, like this is definitely like something I'm very happy to have joined EML with. Like the mindset to be able to create something for the first time and to have that light bulb moment that you said. Yeah.
Congratulations, that's
Yeah,
great.
thank you.
Ash, what about for you?
I think I'd say to anybody in the room or watching online who's not had the opportunity to engage with the EML, to really think about how you can interact with the lab, because it is a real adventure. It pushes the boundaries of what we do day to day in our classrooms, and we can work with the lab, not use the lab, that's not a nice way to say it, but we can work with the lab to, really enhance what we're doing in our classrooms, and we can bring those big ideas that I mentioned to life. So don't let those ideas just drop to the back of your brain like I've had to do previously. Put in a proposal, come and work with the lab, because it's been awesome.
Where are you on the iceberg?
Which iceberg? This is one of those questions where you said to me this morning on the phone, if you don't know the answer, just say, I don't know, Catherine.
But do you feel like you're just at the beginning of the exploration you're going to be
Absolutely.
able to do?
I'd love to keep working with the EML. I'd like to develop the nurse practitioner project further. And I'm also open to interdisciplinary collaborations with anybody else who thinks there's a fit between nursing and their subject, something we can bring to the lab. Please reach out.
Well, all of us working in the space around student wellness and mental health, there could be a really interesting intersection there where we could build capacity and so on. So you're on. Okay, Derek.
I have a slightly different perspective. So I think EML should be much bigger than it is, because I work with different institutions. They all have their strengths. EML is unique with all the other, I'm talking about the local universities. I think they would like to have something like this, but I would like to bring their strengths with the students at this university to have a true cross-disciplinary center for research, because it really irritates me that CERC, which is an organization run by Sheridan, grabs a lot of the research money from the country.
Right.
And yet we have the tech cluster here, and I don't understand why UBC, being a research university, maybe pulls more political strings or talks to other universities, because I really see there's a lack of a big center for all these disciplines to do something like EML. And I think EML, and I've said it to Saeed, I've said it to Patrick, it should be really busy. It should be a big department, because there's so much potential here.
Nikos, do you want to take on the case and go and start to champion for her growth?
I think because it's got a proven track record, right? It is churning out these things that have impact in the school for the students, and both the students who are going to benefit from the technology and the students who are getting experiential learning building it, and it's got impact in the community. I think we've done the greatest test run ever, and let's triple it.
Patrick, last word to you.
Well, I just feel that we can continue at EML to bridge teaching scholarship, the scholarship of teaching, because Melanie is here, and I want to affirm that, and research, and increase our capacity to conduct different types of research, which lead to different types of dissemination of different types of scholarship. So that's where I would love to see EML grow into it in a more rigorous and robust way.
Right. And how do we do that?
what he said. I. How do we do that?
You should probably hand the
Good
microphone
question.
back to Han.
I'm thinking that the best answer to how we do that is in the room here,
Yeah.
truly. And I would love to hear that from others. I have my own ideas, but they're not always right, which is good. But I do think how we do that is continuing to invest our time to understanding the benefits of developing emerging technology, all of the competencies, all of the scholarship, all of I'm not going to say byproducts, but maybe of developing technology together, right? And how do we interconnect our world with other worlds that exist? How do we become more interdisciplinary in that way? So,
All right.
That's
And to
really
circle
big.
all the way back to what Gage mentioned earlier, whatever world we're interacting with is the real world.
Diversity inclusion lens. So it was really amazing. We got to work with our dream team, which you are about to meet.
However, when you actually create them, different from last time, you're actually deposited in our nice new room, our new session. So with respect to our lobbies that we are actually creating in the session, we add in voice chat. Specifically, we use EOS voice chat, which is a spoken communication system that provides concurrent users in the environment a collaborative working manner. So our voice chat currently has implementations for volume input control, microphone muting, as well as audio device selection for speakers and microphones. These features are not complete yet. We only have UI built for the actual audio device selection. However, we do have implementations in the back end working.
Okay, so this is what it currently looks like for the user in the virtual reality makerspace right now. As you can see, we have the main room that I talked about earlier, as well as the breakout rooms. The core functionalities that the user will have include the ability to grab and move around objects, as well as spawning new objects in the space if they need, and then also slicing objects to give them more creative freedom while they're working on these challenges. And this is a short clip of what it looks like for the user in the space.
And instead of following the traditional classroom layout, we've actually decided to model our own environment that is tailored to students' learning and enhance creativity in a VR setting. So we've designed a space to facilitate visual interactions through semi-open facades and wood slats, which will allow users to observe and draw inspirations from their peers as they work on their personal projects. With the intention of creating a more inclusive space, we've also implemented a non-human avatar design in which users would be able to change the skin color and add accessories as their personal representation of in the VR space. And so in the following slides, I would be presenting some of the design mock-ups that were created in Figma. These designs have not yet been implemented into the application, but will act as a guide for future design considerations or implementation. And so after you've logged into your EOS account, you will be brought to the main menu that is shown on the left. For a user that is new to the VR Makerspace, you'll also have an option to go through a tutorial and an About page that explains what a Makerspace is. After pressing the Start button, the user will then be prompted to either create or join a session, which will drop the user to the main room. And then on the left side, this is what a host would see, and on the right side is what a participant will see. The key difference between the two screens is that the participant will have a raise hand button, while the host will have a start challenge button. So the raise hand button is a button for the participant to notify the host when they require assistance, and the start challenge button is a button for the host to set up and initiate the timer for the challenge. And in addition, the hosts also have a notification panel that will receive notification and information about the user that will require help, so they can visit the individual that requires help when it's needed. Additionally, there are also customization features that will allow for flexibility. You'll have the option to personalize your display name, edit avatar design, and adjust settings such as volume levels. And thank you. That's everything that we have for today. Feel free to drop by after the presentation to try out our demo prototype. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, hello again, everyone. I'm still Ash Scott from the School of Nursing, and I'm the principal investigator on the Nurse Practitioner VR tool project that you're about to hear about, alongside my colleague, Dr. Fairlith McQuaig, who couldn't join us today. I've been told I have 1 minute, and I need to explain what an OSCE is, so I'm going to try and do that for you, Victoria. So the problem that I brought to the lab was that nurse practitioner students, when they complete their program at UBC, before they can work as a nurse practitioner, have to complete what we call an OSCE for them to register with the BC College of Nurses and Midwives. So we do our best to prepare them for this high-stakes examination by having OSCEs throughout their program. But other than them having a piece of paper and practicing with students who know the same scenarios next to them, there's no real way for them to have a realistic practice of this type of assessment. And we had this huge explosion of large language models. It was in the news, it was in UBC newsletters. And I was walking along and I was thinking, well, we already have virtual reality simulations in nursing, but often they're very scripted. They're not really lifelike. They might look fairly realistic, but you ask a question and a box will pop up and say, I don't really understand what you're asking. Did you want to ask this instead? So I thought, maybe, I don't know, but maybe there's a way to link the large language model with a virtual reality simulation and develop a really high quality, super realistic opportunity for our nurse practitioner students to practice for this examination. Something that's scalable and that they can all take part in rather than having to sit in the back of the library with a piece of paper. So I came to the lab and I'm going to let the student team now explain to you what they've been doing because it's been awesome.
So, hi, I'm Victoria.
I'm Jerry.
I'm Graydon.
And we are the Nurse Practitioner Virtual Reality Tool team. So our goal, as Ash mentioned, was to create a prototype that allows student nurse practitioners at the University of British Columbia to engage in interactive consultations with lifelike metahuman patient avatars in order to prepare for their OSCEs. As such, we've been able to accomplish exactly that. So our current prototype consists of one OSCE scenario, which is of a pregnant patient, and it also includes a patient scenario brief, examining instructions, and also results and score at the end, so that the user is able to receive feedback on exactly how well they did, so it aids them in their preparation for their actual OSCE. And here I will play a video. Okay, so the audio for this video has been removed for the purpose of this presentation. However, you can see Brandy is our pregnant patient, and she is able to respond well to the questions that the user is asking that are also relevant to the OSCE scenario. And she's able to respond with the correct information that is needed for the OSCE. And Brandy also exhibits realistic facial and body animations. And the quality will be much better in the actual virtual reality demo. Okay, thank you. And yeah, the results summary at the very end. Okay.
All right, to delve a bit into our key features, this project was developed in Unreal Engine 5.3.2, and it works for both the MetaQuest 2 and the MetaQuest 3 currently. We also have lifelike metahuman avatars that we use for both the examiner and our virtual patients, and we have both facial and body animations for both of them. We've also integrated our own speech-to-speech system, as well as a results scoring algorithm, and we also have several visual assets and user interfaces. To go a bit more into our development, speech-to-speech was implemented using an EML in-house developed server made to handle requests to OpenAI's API, and it was made in such a way that allowed for reduced latency by chunking audio output being received by the server. Audio bits are received in small parts and are played bit by bit as concurrent bits are being played. And data being sent to OpenAI are filtered and no personal information is sent whatsoever. Our voice transcription for speech-to-speech was implemented using functions provided from the runtime speech recognizer library, and animations were created for our virtual humans using body and face blueprints, and animations were sourced from either Mixamo or created using LiveLink, PoseCam, and NVIDIA Audio to Face.
So you can imagine that the most important part of this simulation is to actually have the patient respond in a really realistic manner that aligns with what we're expected of them to say. So you have these OSCE templates, and they basically describe a situation. So in this case, it's Brandy, and she's pregnant. She's having pregnancy-related issues. And our goal was to have our AI agent basically respond in such a way that it would act exactly like how Brandy would act. So the way that we did this is we took an OSCE, which basically contains a bunch of information about the patient, like say what their body temperature is, all sorts of different stuff like that, and we distilled it down into some text that we could then provide to an LLM, in this case OpenAI's API, and then we would get it to respond as Brandy. And then we also used OpenAI's API to actually score our nurse practitioner at the end, taking on the role of the examiner. And the way that we did this is we basically create a scoring template based on an OSCE template, and then we provide that to an LLM, and we get it to score the nurse practitioner in everything that they've asked the patient. So that's actually how we implement the scoring mechanism for the game.
Yeah, and over the course of the term, we also worked on wireframes in Figma, designing visual assets, and also iterating based on user feedback. And the user feedback was obtained through our user research initiative in February, where we spoke to current student nurse practitioners on their domain expertise as current student nurse practitioners, and we were able to gain valuable insights through that. And we were also able to conduct the first round of usability testing on our demo prototype, which helped inform further iterations on design and development for our current prototype that you will get a chance to try out over there later. And yeah, some of the most pertinent insights are as follows. So we realized that you needed feedback when communicating with the avatar. So we added a listening, processing, and also an error wireframe if needed, as well as identifying a missing component of the scenario brief. And we also added visual indicators for commands for students with little or no prior virtual reality experience who might need a refresher on what exactly the commands are to speak to the avatar. So for example, the press and hold X trigger button. So we have that suggestion for that, as well as a timer for students to keep track of time management during their OSCEs, as their OSCEs are limited to 5 minutes. So there we have it for our presentation, and if you are interested in putting on the headset and trying out our demo for yourself and maybe seeing how the scoring system works as well, you can come check us out over there after the presentation. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Manu Madhav, and I'm an assistant professor in the School of Biomedical Engineering and the Javad Mofagian Center for Brain Health. And this is our behavioral biomarker project, and more specifically, trying to develop a behavioral biomarker for Alzheimer's disease. And Alzheimer's disease, as you might know, is a neurodegenerative dementia, and that means that as you get older, if you're affected with this disease, neurons and neural circuits in your brain start dying, and you have repercussions from that. One of the commonly known effects of Alzheimer's disease, as you might know, is the loss of memory. We hear about that all the time. But what you might not know is that your ability to move around the world, your ability to know where you are, and your ability to navigate also degrades. And that might actually start degrading a little bit earlier than when you start losing memories. In the brain, our ability to navigate and our ability to hold on to memories of episodes from the past are very much related with each other. So we had this idea that we can design, using virtual reality, a navigational test that will help us assess whether people are undergoing degradation that might allow a physician or a clinician to refer them to more invasive and expensive tests that could confirm an Alzheimer's diagnosis. So our goal was to design a cheap and sort of non-invasive, easily implementable diagnostic for Alzheimer's. And with the help of our wonderful EML team, we are very close to actually testing this out on real participants and moving forward in our project over this summer. And with that, here they are.
Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of insight into the why behind this project. My name is Marianne. I'm the project lead and designer, and I'm joined by Mohsin, our developer. So this year, we improved on a previous iteration of the behavior biomarker VR task. This is an immersive VR navigational tool that's designed to assess spatial navigation and cognitive decline in Alzheimer's patients. We initiated an overhaul of the back-end operations as well as the interface design in order to provide a better user experience for both researchers and participants. And I'll hand it over to Mohsin to talk a bit about our objectives.
All right, thank you. So as mentioned, this is a VR navigational task that assesses spatial memory. So that's what the gameplay revolves around. However, at EML, this is pretty much maybe the third rendition of this application. So when we received the application from Manu's team, and that was close to 8 months ago, there was different objectives. But then now, for the past 8 months, we were focusing on setting the following objectives. We wanted it to be customizable. We also wanted it to be intuitive and accessible to all users because we have a very large gradient of type of users that are going to be using the application. And we also wanted it to be expandable, both on the back end as a developer and also on the UI and the type of user that uses it. And I'll pass it on back to Marianne for her to explain what we did with the UI and the user experience.
So just to provide a quick context in terms of the gameplay overview. So in this experience, first the participant would be tasked with walking through a maze. Now, throughout this environment would be specific landmarks that are placed throughout, and the user would need to keep track of and observe where these landmarks are. In the next phase, they would be assessed. So they would be asked to identify the specific locations of these landmarks, and then their score would be revealed, and they would proceed to the next trial, which contained a more difficult maze. So we created personas to visualize our user needs. And this is just one example of a broader range of personas. So this is an example of a more independent adult. So to summarize the insights from this exercise, the target participants would, in general, be older adults. So we wanted to create a simple, straightforward, and accessible task that would also accommodate people with little to no VR experience. In Figma and then in Unity, I iteratively designed some interface components for this experience to accommodate what I've just described. So for the main task I've designed some start screens as well as gameplay menus. So for example, the pause menu where users can gain a refresher on the controls. And this, as well as persistent text consoles to guide the user throughout each trial. We also wanted to lay some groundwork for a tutorial level in this experience. So I designed comprehensive instructional panels to guide the users step by step throughout a sample maze, after which this would set expectations for the rest of the study. And throughout my designs, I've included some visual cues like progress markers, as well as frequent and prominent controller diagrams to ensure that the user is always kept knowledgeable of how to use the experience. Now I'll pass it off to Mohsin to talk a bit about how we implemented all of this.
Awesome, thank you. So the theme of our development for the past 2 semesters was revolved around the word optimal efficiency. And I know that sounds very technical, but that's both on the development part and on the user experience part. So it's not just about the code that runs everything and how fast things are, it's also how the user interacts and how efficient they could find out what to do and what task needs to be done. So some of the development stuff we did is that we enhanced the scripting architecture. We actually modularized the code for future easier development. We also had like a dynamic algorithm set up, so all the mazes that the user walks through, now it's dynamically generated instead of being premeditated, hard-coded into the application. And also some asset restructuring. And obviously, all the UI and the UX that you saw in the previous slides needed to be implemented, and the infrastructure was laid down for a tutorial for the user to be able to engage with it easier. So here's an example of the modularity that I kind of want to go over for the developers out there. This is a simple state machine. But simply put, this basically silos every step of the game and isolates it so that if for a future developer, if they want to come and work, they don't need to really worry about the entirety of the game and the steps. They could actually only focus on a specific portion of the game that they want to, I don't know, adjust something, tweak something, or make it better. And essentially, like all of these circles that you see, they're like a step in the game, and we refer to it as a state. Now, the hallmark of our development, this is a feature that we're very proud of as a team to have developed the past 2 semesters, is the dynamic maze generation. And as you can see on the screen, all these different mazes have different parameters connected to it. So we wanted to create an easy environment for the researchers, so Manu and his team, to be able to specify just how difficult this maze is going to be, so how long, how many turns, and the fact that it should be a non-repeat, so at every trial you don't go back into the same room that you were. And that's pretty much all you need to tell the program. It generates it for you after that. So there's like a grid, and as you can see, there's like different ways that you can like navigate, and the difficulty gets higher and higher as you go across the maze. Now, thank you so much for listening to us. This is the last slide, and I just wanted to say, come check it out on the other room. Our demo is on the room. We're gonna be in the corner. You can see both me and Marianne there, and we have the VR headset for all you guys to check it out. We're very excited to show it to you. Thank you so much.
Okay, like my students, you probably say enough of this guy, so I'll be very short. Nico Saris from the law faculty, and I want to recognize my other co-principal investigators, John Fessinger, who had the complete idea behind this, and Barbara Wang, our manager of student experience, who brought it forward. Can I just first say, before I talk about this, could all you EML students please come to the law school? I know you have many other great tech options, but I have never seen better, more persuasive presenters. So I don't know what else Saeed's got going on there, but they're incredible communicators. The idea came for this behind the absolutely terrifying experience our first-year law students have is their moot court experience. They were required in first year to do a simulated court exercise where they're arguing against each other. It's before a panel of senior lawyers who act as judges, and they ask very tough questions of the students. We were finding this was causing an unbelievable amount of stress in the law school, and we wanted to provide an incredibly safe space for them to practice, not just in a very generic way, but to get in that courtroom anytime they wanted, 2 in the morning, 8 in the morning. I want to go to the virtual court. I want to practice my submission. I want to have the same visuals I'm going to have in the actual court, and I want the actual experience of judges asking questions. That's actually one of the most important parts of a court presentation. And our idea was to create a basic model where we could have case-specific questions brought in, and then the ultimate dream was an AI judge who could ask questions specific to the submissions of the person presenting. And this is incredibly scalable. Not just every law school could be using this. The public could be using this. I've mentioned how many people are representing themselves. Junior lawyers could be using this. And really, what is any presentation you make with questions? It's really a moot court, so I think it has application to almost any faculty across Canada. I will now bring up our incredibly star set of students who work so hard.
Yeah, thank you, Nikos, for the backstory. Hi, everyone. My name is Leia. I'm the software developer, and I'm joined by Jazzy, Jiho, and Angela, who are the designers. So yeah, this project is in collaboration with the Peter Allard School of Law, and Moot Court. This application was built on top of Moot Court, which is a application for first-year students to help practice their moots. So in the web version, we really wanted to focus on implementing an AI judge in order for the judge to give students questions that they can practice with. And so from this web version, we wanted to expand and build a VR version for students to practice as well. So here is a high-level framework of the backend of the web version. So the users will speak to the application, and that speech will be parsed into text, and that text will be sent to the server. The server will output both audio and subtitles. So here is a video that kind of shows that backend.
I would like to present an argument on why TikTok should be banned.
What is your reasoning behind advocating for the banning of TikTok?
I believe that TikTok is a huge time sink for many youth and its users that use the platform, as it composes of an infinite scroll tactic, which is used to just maximize the time that users spend on their platform.
How do you reconcile the potential benefits of TikTok, such as entertainment and creativity, with the concerns about its addictive nature and time-consuming features?
Yeah, and here's a photo of the subtitles that we implemented into this application. I'll pass it off to Jazzy to talk about the VR version.
So aside from the web version of JS, we also created an Unreal Engine VR version. So in terms of adhering to the VR version, we also created a start menu. So to begin the VR session, we initiated this by introducing the user to the start menu interface first, so that they can learn more about JS and just go through the settings, help, and about menus before entering the courtroom. So if needed, they can go through the settings and adjust any settings, like such as the timer, the mood, the audio, the subtitles, and other miscellaneous settings. And then to begin exploring JS, they can just press start. And once the JS, the VR session begins, the background music starts, and any buttons that they press will there will be sound effects. So we kind of just believe that by adding sound effects, it will create a more cinematic feel and make the user feel bring the scene more to life.
Yeah, so here's a short demo video of how our start menu is connected to the door opening scene. So once the user clicks on start, they will be able to enter the courtroom environment, and this courtroom asset is an Unreal Engine asset. We've made further improvements to suit our project's goals and needs, such as adding a new furniture, adjusting the lighting, and also moving around different components. And yeah, so we also implemented another user interface for when the user reaches the podium. So as you can see there, once the user clicks on begin session, they would then be able to start interacting with our AI MetaHuman judge. And I'll pass it off to Jiho to talk more about our judge.
Yeah, so as we see in the previous view, you probably noticed the courtroom is actually occupied with a lot of NPCs. This is occurring in the jury seats as well as the audience seats. All of these are sourced by Mixamo and animated to provide more motion and liveliness in the environment overall. And obviously our main highlight being once you reach the podium, you'll be introduced to the MetaHuman judges. All the MetaHuman judges are equipped with facial animation as well as body animation. And of course, in the center judge is actually integrated with AI using ChatGPT 3.5. So the user is able to converse with the MetaHuman judge and receive judge-like responses if you're to bring any argument or cases in front of him. This is a framework of how the AI integration is made, but to simplify this, the actual integration is actually the same integration as Nurse VR project, the project that was presented earlier on. Of course, there were some alterations made to the integration where we adjusted the server so it could receive longer responses from the user, as well as the AI is able to make more judge-like responses while you're interacting with it. And just to see a demo of it, here is the MetaHuman in action.
Hello, Your Honor. My name is Sarah Green.
Hello, Sarah Green. How can I assist you today in the Court of Law in British Columbia?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm appealing the decision made in the case of Green versus Smith. The ruling was unjust, and I believe there were critical errors in the judgment.
What specific aspect of the judgment do you believe was not adequately addressed or contained critical errors?
So that was just a snippet of what we worked on the past few semesters. We highly hope you come check out our demo session to try conversing with the IntelliJudge, or even trying another level of immersion by putting on the headset to try the VR courtroom and try interacting with the MetaHuman judge. And that's it for our presentation. Thank you.
More applause for them as they leave. Yes. So, next on the menu, stretch if you want. I know this has been a long haul, but in the next 30 minutes, you're going to hear rapid fire 6 projects that came out of the MDIA 470 course. It's important, and as Catherine asked me earlier, this would not have come together without lots of people. It's not like a course that, oh, great, I'm taking responsibility for this course, this is my course. It's not like that at all. In fact, the idea for the course came from wanting to create a through line and learning pipeline, if you'd like, with the Emerging Media Lab. And so this course came out of that idea in conversations with Saeed. And I've been piloting it for a few years, and now in conversation with the first person I'm going to thank, which is Christine. Please wave, Christine, where are you? D'Onofrio, from the Bachelor of Media Studies, and a new designation of media courses, or MDIA courses, and in conversation with both Christine and our Associate Dean Academic, Stefania, where are you? Who is not here. We had conversations about how do we set this up in the arts. And so that's just a few people. Saeed has been pivotal in making this happen, as well as Artie, who is a part of Saeed's team, as well as our CIO, Jennifer Burns. And so I want to point to all of those people because it's important. But the list goes on, you see, because this is an EML supported course. So Marianne at the back, thank you. We have Frederick right there, thank you. We have we have from UBC Studios, even Andrew supporting that. So when you start to understand that this is a course that really is built up by a community and supported by a community, then you can see, for me, how powerful it is. And I'm saying all this to encourage other courses to talk with EML, to extend this, and to bring other courses to life that you can bring together an idea of developing different types of technologies. So more people. Daniel, right there, awesome. Yeah, who has been really a support for this. Now, hang on, it's not over, right? Because all the faculty who propose projects. And this semester, I can mention Siobhan from geography, who had to leave, right? And we also have industry partners. We had Derek. Derek, are you still here? Derek, yes. Persistent partner in this, as well as Suki Mansour from OpenAI was also pivotal in giving the students a different type of experience. Many other faculty as well have been involved in this process for a long time. And so I just want to make sure that everyone understands that that is the context for this course. Beyond that, it's the students, right? It's the students who come with a passion. And kudos to Christopher Moe there, because a lot of the cognitive systems students are awesome. Not that they're not awesome from other parts, but we've been getting like really good. So thank you, Christopher. Yeah. So I just wanted to point to that because it's very important, right? And trying to connect what we do in the course to potential research projects and scholarship is also important. And that's what we're working on. We're working on an entire pipeline from inception of an idea with faculty to potential outputs. So in light of all this, and what I said earlier about self-regulating, this was an amazing group of students. And I've been very, very lucky to have them, including a bridge. And so in this course, I decided, how can we create a bridge between the EML and this course? And along came a fantastic student, Jody, who you're about to meet. And Jody's going to introduce. She was a student in the course and part of a team, and I'd like her to now take over and the students to take over because really they own these projects. Let's give them a round of applause.
Hello, everyone. It's so wonderful to be speaking to you today.
To me, Media 470 is a journey of innovation and collaboration. The 6 teams who are working in this class have been working tirelessly the past 12 weeks in order to deliver what you are seeing here today. The key concept that this class utilizes is agile project management, which I'm sure a lot of you here know what it is. But we make use of techniques such as iterative prototyping and weeklies to provide constant feedback and deliver prototypes at every step, pushing the boundaries of our creativity and technical skills. The demands of this course have meant a lot of the students have had to learn new skills over a mere 3 months in order to deliver what you are seeing today. With an emphasis on collaborative production pipelines, this course embodies how we must embrace the volatile media landscape we are now experiencing. And I'm so excited for you all to see what we have prepared for you today. Let's start by introducing the 360 Spatial Audio team.
Welcome. We are the 360 Spatial Audio team, and today we're going to present to you our project, 3D Spatial Environments Capturing the World Through Sound. First, I'd like to introduce to you our team. Under the supervision of Dr. Para Pennyfather, our team developed multiple 360 environments for Dr. McPhee in the UBC Department of Geography. Our project team consisted of Kendall Carr, Michael Wu, Anna Shubina, Shu Sasaki, and myself, Jonah Marshall.
Our team was first tasked with taking each of these complex geographical concepts, shown here on the board, and finding sounds that would help students to better understand each one. It's quite a lot to take in, right? But fret not. In order to better help you visualize why this product is useful, let us introduce you to a persona that we created. All right. Meet Anna. Anna is a student in Geog 250. Anna is taking the course from abroad and has never been to Vancouver before. She's struggling to understand the concepts in class because she doesn't know what the city is like. That's when our product can help. By putting on her headphones and listening to the 360 immersive audio tracks provided, Anna can immerse herself in the city environment. From the beaches of Jericho, the forest of Stanley Park, the side streets of Kitsilano, and the hustle and bustle of Robson Square, experience it all wherever you are.
Our project consisted of 4 main steps: location-specific research, collecting audio samples, compositional arrangement, and spatial arrangement. I'll quickly walk you through location-specific research as well as collecting audio samples, and then we'll hear from Kendall about compositional arrangement and spatial arrangement. Location-specific research is the planning phase for our project. In the example of ecological urbanism, we decided that Stanley Park would be a good place in Vancouver to try and cover this. We thought there were many strong urban concepts, such as people biking by, the 9 o'clock gun, as well as the horse-drawn carriages, in contrast with the natural elements, such as the beaches, the forests, as well as all of the wildlife. Once we've decided what we want to record, we head out to collect it. Anything we can't record organically, we would then use Serum to create artificially in post-production.
After the collection of audio samples was completed, we moved on to compositional arrangement, where they're all dragged into a program called Logic Pro, and we organized those sounds based on what would make sense for the POV of the listener in the environment that we chose. And then when that was completed, we moved on to spatial arrangement, which is when we used binaural panning and automation data to automate certain characteristics of each track, which would make the sound, let's say, sound louder or farther away, closer to you. And that enabled us to create spatial auditory environments.
There are many different ways this project could be improved. By integrating digital maps with our project, we can allow for the merging of spatial mapping with acoustic records to create a more involved way of experiencing this project. It also creates a framework for us to, in the future, re-record locations so that you can go back and hear what Vancouver sounded like in specific parts of the map in the past. Cross-institutional collaboration would also allow for us to reach outside of the lands of UBC as well as the local environment. And if there was funding allowed, we could also scale up the project to allow the creation of an online interface that could be persistently hosted. We have a QR code if you would like to experience any of the environments we created today. It will also be available in the room next door after the presentations are done, as well as a local sit-in and listen booth if you don't have your own headphones to experience it with. Thank you very much, and we'd like to introduce the next group to come up and present.
Hello again, everyone. My name is Jody, and I'm the project manager overseeing the Developing Unreal Engine Environments and Avatars project. Let's dive in. First, allow me to introduce to you members who have been very involved in the creation of this project. First, Derek Carter, our wonderful client partner from the Sawmill. Our world builder and technical lead is Jerry. Our lead 3D modeler, Jiho. And in the back, you can see our 3D modelers, Howlin and Nuria, who is also in charge of character design. So this project's objective is to develop 3 diverse 3D character models and a virtual environment that can showcase the innovation and use cases of the virtual camera system. This system uses Unreal Engine, which is a 3D computer graphics game engine, and all of our assets are designed for its distribution to potential clients, in which case we have identified potential film producers or filmmakers who might want to integrate this technology in the future. During our research very early on in this project, we have identified a gap in diverse representation with the 3D character models in Unreal Engine. Specifically, there's a largely saturated male, Caucasian, and young demographic, as well as a highly sexualized female demographic. Hence, our project created 3 different characters, all diverse in body types and ethnicities, to fill this gap. As described earlier, our assets are designed for the Peel virtual camera system, which is developed by the Sawmill Studios and Peel Software Development. What it allows users to do is basically operate a camera within a virtual environment during a motion capture shoot. What this means is just as a director, a cinematographer, and a production designer is able to visualize a scene and how an actor might inhabit that scene during a film, you can now do the same with a virtual environment with a motion capture actor acting as the avatar within that. As mentioned earlier, the system currently requires digital assets for customers to test the system for themselves.
So for our first part of our deliverables, we have our 3 characters. So the key aim to creating these characters was to create a new introduce a new diverse range of ethnicities, genders, and body type representation. This was, I guess, again, to address the predominantly saturated models currently available on Unreal Engine, mainly being focused on very young males or very highly sexualized female characters. So over here on the characters, we have a androgynous Hispanic woman, as well as a Aztec woman, and finally a Chinese man. Over here on the software, we list out the software we use, but the main software that should be highlighted is Maya, as well as Accurate and Marvelous Designer to create and design these characters.
The second part of our deliverable was a virtual environment where we pinpointed 3 key locations as per the VCAM's landmark features as a film set. The areas defined were designed with filmic purposes in mind, with open areas for diverse use cases and scenic-specific assets. Once again, the environment was made in Unreal Engine, and all assets were obtained from open sources.
So here's some sample footage we actually captured with the virtual camera within the motion capture studio at the Sawmill. In this process, we really tried to make our characters and the environment fit together with a cohesive backstory. And in this case, our Chinese traveler is currently exploring the areas of Lake Balkhash near Kazakhstan, which, if you don't know, is a beautiful area. And the characters' movements here are captured with a motion capture actor within the space, and of course, filmed with the virtual camera. Looking forward, there are a number of next steps our team has identified and would like to propose to continue developing this project. First, to create more modeled assets, custom ones that can populate specifically the village layout within our environment. This can add to the backstory, which can obviously use some help currently, and add to the filmic purposes which we are proposing with this technology. Second, to improve upon our characters' rigging and texturing to ensure its performance is optimized for the virtual camera itself, so to be pinged to a motion capture actor. And finally, to conduct actual user testing with the virtual camera itself to iterate on our designs based on user feedback. We'd like to extend a special thanks to our partners who have worked with us throughout this project, and on to the next group, Generative AI Workflows.
Hi everyone, my name is Han. We have William, Furness, Holly, Emily, and Victoria. and we're the Generative AI Workflow team. Before we get started, we want to give a special thanks to Patrick and our lovely client Suki for guiding us. We're very excited to present, so please enjoy this short trailer where I'll talk about what our project is and what our end goals are. So our team's goal is to help enable learning for creators looking to generate video-related content using AI. We produce a mixture of video and step-by-step written documents to teach creators how to integrate different generative AI tools to fit their specific needs. In total, we created 6 specific workflows for 6 specific use cases. Behind me is our 6 workflows. In the following slides, we will go through what these workflows are and what they can be used for. To start, we have a document that details how to write a prompt that produces images or videos using generative AI tools. This can help users utilize their resources, such as their time or AI credits. Moving on, we developed our first workflow around the idea to help video creators generate the introduction and end of their content. We call this the intro and outro workflow. Very creative, I know. Creators can learn how to integrate their video generation AI tools to help streamline their content creation process by providing inspiration or actually making the videos they'll be using to introduce or wrap up their content with.
Our second workflow is the channel trailer workflow, where video content creators are able to utilize generative AI tools to create and edit channel trailers for their respective YouTube channels. This is typically an exhaustive process that involves filming, scripting, and editing. And by using generative AI tools, we are able to edit and create a digital avatar of ourselves with auto-generated footage in order to speed up the process.
For the video sponsor workflow, content creators' main source of income usually comes through a form of brand deals. Users can use AI tools to help them generate video scripts and ideas to create some sponsored video clips to add to their videos, helping them generate more revenue as a content creator.
The short film workflow is designed for the content creator who want to visualize their crazy ideas into the story. So this workflow is you will think as a film director, but work as an AI engineer. You will use the AI gen tools to create forms, film script, storyboard, video, sound, and finally add them as short films. Before, these steps are required for professional skills in the film production. However, right now, with our workflow, you just need a laptop. You can efficiently create the short film with less limitations.
This AI loop video workflow is a streamlined process designed for creating relaxing ASMR videos with white noise, making it accessible and efficient for everyone. Starting with AI-powered theme brainstorming, moving on to composing, smoothing music, and generating common visuals and animations. This approach not only simplifies the production process, but also enabling the creation of unique personalized content.
With the video tracking workflow, we demonstrate how to generate 360-degree lighting environments using AI tools, as well as to rotoscope them. We also use camera motion from our filmed footage to essentially replace the background with your new content, which is like having it been filmed on a set. Using this method, we can combine filmed content and AI content, which allows for more advanced control over the scene and lighting. Looking forward, we would like to add more advanced workflows and ensure that they are clearly communicated. You can scan the QR code to be taken to our website, where you can see all of our workflows and to access the tools that we used. Good luck in your creative endeavors, and thank you for listening to our presentation. Next up is the Retrieval Augmented Generation Framework project.
Hi everyone, we're the Retrieval Augmented Generation Framework team. I'm Mayako, this is Aaron, Yevon, Sol, and Walker. And before we start, we'd like to thank our supervisor, Patrick, and also Saeed and Daniel from the EML for their guidance throughout their project. So our main objective is to leverage an AI framework to make searching through UBC policies easier for UBC administrators. The website that the policies are currently hosted on is organized unintuitively with bureaucratic jargon, and it also makes it difficult to search through policies using keywords. Through our interviews, we also found that a lot of UBC administrators have a lot of fears surrounding AI, integrating that into their workflows, such as fears surrounding privacy and also hallucinations.
So I'll introduce some of the key features of our product. So a user can choose a sample query, or they can upload a file with a project or policy, or they can type in the chat to have a question that they have about policies answered, and then they'll receive a response with specific UBC policies cited. As well, they can see the data flow visualization to learn more about how their data might be used and how it'll be kept secure. We used RAG as a framework to build more trust in the reliability of the responses we're getting. Again, RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. So retrieval, it'll fetch the most relevant policies. Augmented, it'll synthesize all the information found. And generate, it'll create a response for the users. And the two most important things to note about RAG is that it can dynamically retrieve and access the most up-to-date information, and you can do policy citations, so that's why you're getting a lot more reliable response. And to show this, here's a sample response without RAG. You can often get a very general response that's not very helpful, and it might be inaccurate because it only has access to the data it was previously seen when it was training. But in contrast, with RAG, now you can access more up-to-date information, and you can cite then the specific policy, so this is a lot more helpful for people who are going to be using this.
Yes. To address the issue around the data privacy, we utilize the UBC local server. So by keeping the user's data within the UBC server and clearing it after end of the each conversation, we make sure that the user's data are not leaked to the external environment. And to inform this to the users, we utilize 3 pop-up messages that will appear at the end of each conversation.
So based on user research, we determined that the major concerns that most of our user base has are related to data and privacy and security. And that's why we address this via a 2D visualization that, as you can see here, it illustrates a closed loop between the user's computer, the UBC secure server, then it breaks down what's happening inside the server, and then it shows how the data goes back into the user's computer, and this is what's happening when they are using the RAG tool.
Thank you, Sol. Some next steps for future development regarding UI and development are actually adding in policies onto the website itself. So currently the policies are stored in a PDF document format on the back end. We have it cached and put in a database, but we don't actually give the user the ability to view policies themselves. We would eventually like to add a split screen view such that you can have a chat conversation with the bot and view the relevant policies directly in the application. As for development, we also want to perform some more prompt engineering so we can get ideal output from our application, as well as migrating from storing our uploaded files directly on the server to an external database. We would also like to actually migrate our development server to a production server for deployment. Thank you very much for your attention. Please welcome our AR midwifery team.
With medical education falling behind the technical curve, the UBC midwifery program looked to accelerate learning into the 21st century. This is how the Pocket Pelvis application was born. Our team implemented an augmented reality birth simulation into the existing app. This was in response to the core issue of a lack of interactive educational tools to bridge the gap between theory and practice. So our client partner for this project was the UBC Hive, led by Dr. Claudia Krebs. On the team, we had myself, Jack, as the project manager. We had Celine, our developer, Inzaghi, our technical lead, Jin, our designer and developer, as well as Marianne, our UX UI lead.
First, we want to understand the key objectives that guided us throughout our project. Our goal was to develop an interactive application with a 3D model pelvis for users to gain hands-on experience in interacting with a pelvis in a physical space. We also wanted to address the different ways in which students can learn by designing for various environments and learning preferences. And this is a brief overview of our features as well as our interface, and next we'll walk through our design process.
To guide our user interface and feature design, we use methods such as personas or profiles of our target user to better understand what they might need. We also use user stories to help envision how they might want to interact with our app. Additionally, we conducted competitive analysis which validated the need for a dynamic AR birth visualization. After consulting with midwifery students and educators, we learned about the lack of and need for instructional tools and educational technology with this specific focus. With our research and ideation culminated in our prototype design, which underwent multiple rounds of usability testing and feedback to ensure an intuitive user experience.
One of the major features that our app uses is we want to implement this in augmented reality or AR. You might ask, what is AR or augmented reality? Well, imagine this. User can use their physical space to visualize the animation by freely moving around in their physical environment. That way, students can enable them to visualize the baby animation in their physical space. And also, additionally, we want to create the seamless transition between the stage of labor using some kind of slider.
Our application can also be used in various environments, including in a classroom. You can explore the AR view with friends or on the bus by yourself. You can easily change the view by the toggle on the screen. For easy navigation in the AR view, we have also implemented a recenter function, which puts the model in the middle of the screen. For extra customizability, we have also implemented a slider to adjust the opacity of the pelvis and the baby separately. To cater to diverse learning preferences, we have also implemented the text-to-speech functionality easily activated by the speech button. This allows users to not only listen through the content while navigating through the stages and the menus, but also makes education inclusive and adaptable to every user's needs.
Putting all of these features together, we have built an educational and versatile AR application for students to learn interactively and on the go. This is just a quick product demo, but please feel free to come visit us after if you'd like to try it out for yourselves. For the next steps, we envision this app diversifying the pelvis and baby models to account for different shapes, sizes, as well as skin tones for the baby. And we would also love to see object recognition so that users can use a physical pelvis model when they're using the app. Thank you.
Hi everyone, we're the TouchSpear team. I'm Nicole, and this is Tierney, Maureen, Keebum, and Cam. So just starting off with some background behind UBC's first folio and about our project. In 2021, UBC Library acquired a first folio edition of William Shakespeare's complete works, which is an important book in English language literary history. Published in 1623, this edition contains 36 of Shakespeare's 38 known plays, which were edited by his close friends, fellow writers, and actors. Due to its age, fragility, and a popular interest in the physical book, a project was initiated to create a digital touch table version of the folio for in-person access at UBC Library. The previous phase of development was completed by the EML team in summer of 2023, and now we're in our second phase of development where TouchSpear aims to enhance the user experience by redesigning the interface and also by finalizing the touch table integrations of the digitized first folio files. I will now pass it over to the design team to talk about our new design.
Our design and development process begins with identifying areas of improvement in the existing touch table setup. During our initial usability testing, our user expressed difficulties navigating content and found the navigation bar less than intuitive. In addition, we found that the ambiguity in guidance could further complicate experience, and lack of visual elements can also lead to lower engagement. To tackle these challenges, our user-centered solution involves redesigning the navigation bar, introducing the table of contents and the welcome screens, as well as enhancing the accessibility through improvements such as color contrast and clear labeling. In terms of visual demonstration, our goal is to maintain consistent UI design style and integrated multimedia content to further enrich user experience.
As for the next stage in our design process, we began by sketching out the basic wireframe of our design to map out where our core features would be. And over the next couple of weeks, we worked on adding more functionality and detail to our design. Throughout this process, we worked closely with our client partners and also received feedback from our peers to ensure that we were addressing any user concerns with our design. So for example, we addressed accessibility concerns by ensuring we chose a high contrast color palette and ensuring that our touch points were sufficiently large. In terms of our final redesign, we have these 4 core features. So our welcome screen has some information about the first folio. We also have a brand new video gallery, which has some videos for users to learn more about Shakespeare's works. And we also have a table of contents, as well as brand new scroll bar navigation, which allows for quick and intuitive navigation. And these 4 features work together to create a cohesive and engaging experience for all of our users.
The development process involved picking up the basic book application by our predecessors. And our goal was to not only improve this basic book application, but to implement the design changes by the design team. So as far as the tools we used the Unity engine to build our front end, and we used C# to script new UI component behavior. And behind the scenes, we use dynamic content generation to generate new UI components based on underlying first folio data, such as the table of contents of it. And we also worked on effective loading techniques to allow seamless transition between different scenes.
Our second goal over the course of development was to complete the book. In the first phase of development, the book wasn't fully complete, but we decided that was a very high priority for us. So one of the things we needed to consider was file size compression in order to accommodate the limited resources that the touch table computer has. And another priority of ours was to maintain a uniform look across the first folio. So to do that, we used Python libraries to crop and center all of the images. And through the entire course of the project, our main aim was to increase accessibility for this book, which is something that is not fully accessible in physical form, but we wanted to maintain a lot of the magic that comes along with it and our specific version. So thank you for listening to our presentation, and I'd invite you to come try our demo when you join us in the other room. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. So impressive. Congratulations, Patrick, and to all of the students from Media Studies 470. That's 1 semester's worth of work, and you just heard some of the student projects. So congratulations to all of them. Put your hands together, please. Thank you. So we've done a lot of thank yous, and this person's name has been mentioned before, but I really want to acknowledge Frederick Svensson, who's sitting toward the back of the room. There he is. Do you want to stand up and take a bow? It's true to say that none of the work that you just saw would be possible without Frederick. He is someone who could probably be making a fortune working out in, I know, but truly, we are at this university, there are so many people who are so committed to public education, and he's one of those people, and we're very, very lucky that we've been able to hang on to him, and I think it's because he is as inspired as he is inspiring. So there's this really great connection between he and the students and the people who produce. So Frederick, thank you for everything you do at the EML. I would sincerely like to thank our very busy provost who has taken a couple of hours out of a ridiculous schedule to spend time with us. Gage, thank you for being here. Thank you also to Jennifer Burns, who is, I said IT, but she does all sorts of things. She is UBC's Chief Information Officer. Jennifer, thank you for being with us all afternoon. I'd like to also acknowledge the team at UBC Studios, Andrew and Mohsen and Daniel. Thank you very much for making everybody look good. And I would like to invite all of you to pop next door and see some of the students up close and talk about their projects. It's really wonderful that all of you made this a priority, and we think it's a priority, and it ought to be even more so at this campus. So thank you ever so much for being with us today. Thank you, Saeed.